Listen to the wind in the junipers and the tales of the shifting, whispering sands.
I'm Mike Prickett. Quitting dependency on any substance, drug, alcohol, pills, injection, nicotine, or any other destructive habit requires determination, persistence, constant practice, and other behavioral factors. Before the process can even begin, there has to be a vision and a sincere commitment to quit. There has to be a viable and attractive alternative in view of quitting, or it has no purpose and the process has no strength. Without a vision and a view of a better place or condition, there is no reason to change. Once a view of a better place or condition is realized, only then can a determination to change find the strength to withstand the challenges involved with overcoming the addiction. Quitting a bad habit also requires a strong determination to be free. Freedom requires character. It requires a sense of responsibility. It requires integrity. It requires courage and moral character. Not everybody has those things. There will always be those who will grovel in victimhood. Rather than accept personal responsibility for anything, they would rather blame others. They'll point the finger of responsibility at others, saying something like, "He did this to me," or "They did this to me," or "It did this to me," or "If it weren't for that, I would be." That may all be true, but it makes no sense for a victim to take the poison and hope those rotten people die. Wallowing in victimhood is to resign oneself to defeat. It creates for victims an excuse for giving up on success. It's akin to cowardice, the antagonist to courage. Truly free people will take control and responsibility for their own behavior, admitting mistakes and finding the strength to change. Admitting and abandoning mistakes is the essence of progress and improvement. Without that, everything falls apart, either slowly or overnight. What individual citizens think and do are the ingredients of a successful society. Allowing a government to dictate personal behavior is the result of lazy and ignorant people who would allow them to do it. Governments unchecked will inevitably run roughshod over the God-given liberties of the people. Human nature causes that. Elected representatives lose sight of their responsibilities to the people who will elect them as their focus is gradually replaced by what seems to be more important national and international issues. They don't have time to find out what their electors think about stuff, so they salve their own egos by claiming credit for getting the federal government to allocate funds to the infrastructure of the states they represent, and lending lip service to veterans, parks, and charitable causes, thinking this will be enough to keep them in office. I could rail on politics for a long time, but that's not my purpose. What I hope to accomplish is to wake you up and bring into view a heretofore incurable addiction that we have become all too accustomed to, and offer a cure and an alternative. The best advice anyone can receive when caught in an unbearable condition is simply quit it. I hope to provide some tools to help you do that. It's not really a revolution I'm suggesting, but an alternative to bad habits developed over centuries of time. Change is hard, but what makes it hard is the fact that individual people aren't motivated enough to pay attention to the need for it. I'm particularly concerned for baby boomers. People who are retiring with not enough to keep them going in the face of inflation. The millennials are waking up, with nearly 50% of them adopting the cure, but boomers are still in the dark, with closed minds and a false sense of security in old, antiquated habits that have proven to be flawed and futile. Let me explain. When Satoshi Nakamoto saw in 2008 that the banks and money traders were running wild in credit markets, and that bankers were not being punished for indiscretions in paper money transactions, but instead were rewarded with bailouts from the Federal Reserve, he wrote a white paper, developed a perfect alternative to fiat currency, and then disappeared. The alternative he developed is a private peer-to-peer store of value and trade mechanism called Bitcoin. My objective is to make you more familiar with this free enterprise mechanism and help you to be prepared for a bright future soon to come. But that takes effort on your part as well. One of the wonderful parts of Bitcoin is that it is peacefully provocation-proof. It can't be used to sanction anyone because it's not controlled by human hands, most especially the greedy and power-hungry ones. Bitcoin owners are all equal. It doesn't matter if the parties in a Bitcoin transaction agree politically or not, and no owner of Bitcoin, whether big or small, has power to sanction or dominate anyone. Bitcoin creates a lid on inflation. There will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin. That makes it inflation-proof. You get the picture? Think about it. Bitcoin is not about getting rich. It's about freedom and sufficient resources to survive a bumpy economic future, especially for those on fixed income with no potential for financial increase. Sure, your investments may save you, but investment in what is the question, and that's always the problem. In my experience, gambling with one's nest egg is not a sound practice. More security is needed. Bitcoin fixes that. What Wall Street investing does is make a lot of money for the brokers and managers who charge fees for managing and for every trade. Under these conditions, fees can eat profits over a period of time. If you've trusted your money with a broker-dealer or even a bank, it's not your money, it's theirs. You loaned it to them. They tell you that the money is yours, but it's really only an entry on a ledger with your name on it. Whether you get it back or not depends on a set of conditions that you have no control over. You say, well, it's always worked before, but you probably don't see the precarious condition of fiat currency in this modern world today. You can look at my former podcasts for an explanation of that. I'm not alone. There are many others. Money is in trouble, not just in the United States, but worldwide. Bitcoin fixes that. Old habits are hard to break, especially for old dogs who are reluctant to learn new tricks. I do this with my own time and money because I care about you, and I want you to be informed. You must know that the fiat money that is built on a pyramid debt scheme that is clearly a Ponzi is finally falling apart. It's not a Chicken Little story, it's real. I don't want you to fall apart with it. Buy some Bitcoin. If you want further guidance with that, go to my website, consumersbitcoin.com. Join our association and ask us to help you. That's what we do. We're together on this. I'm Mike Pickett. I'll see you all again next week. In the meantime, stay as righteous as possible and sleep well tonight, knowing that your savings are in your own custody.
Listen to the wind in the junipers and the tales of the shifting, whispering sands. Wild horses on the run into the setting sun, and the smell of the leather in his hand.